So why is it that you have a YouTube video channel and I'm the one that ends up having to do all these weird things and I don't know what I'm doing?
This is but this is all about bass fishing. So we're gonna prove a point. So here you're standing and you're blindfolded.
Yes, I know that.
And what I'd like you to do carefully, because I don't want you to hurt yourself, is you can hear me, right? I'd like you to walk to me in the safest manner possible. And I haven't moved. I'm in the same place that I was. And you're getting closer, obviously. Careful. Okay. There you go. You did it. You can take your blindfold off. Look at that. You did it. Okay, now go back to where you started from. And keep the blindfold off.
Okay.
All right. And now just walk to me with the blindfold off in the safest manner possible.
Wow.
All right. What we just did is kind of an example of muddy water bass. And we'll talk more about that when we come back.
So I was a fish.
You were a fish, but not anymore.
Thanks.
Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher.
I'm Megan Fuller.
So what we did there in the beginning is kind of an illustration of muddy water bass fishing. And not so much bass fishing, but what bass do or what happens in muddy water with the bass. So,
okay.
And this was a big issue for me on Lake Eufaula, and one that, is something that I wanted to elaborate on. When the water was clean and I was up in the river, I was throwing baits into branches, there were laydowns, and those laydowns could be in 13 foot of water, treetops and fish were suspended in those treetops. And as like a wacky rig Cinco or whatever fell down through the treetop, those bass were suspended and they'd come out and get that Cinco, and it was pretty easy, okay? As soon as that mud came in and it got dirty, those fish didn't suspend out there in the open. Suspending would be like in that second thing that you did when you didn't have your eye mask on. You were able to walk through the living room and walk right to me.
Right.
That would be the equivalent of suspending fish, okay? But when that water got muddy, those fish don't suspend as much. What they do is they either go to the bottom,
okay,
or they go to vertical cover, okay, like a post, a pier post, a dock wall, a seawall, the bank, okay.
So like our equivalent to a wall.
To a wall, right?
They
Vertical
right
cover.
They go right up against it.
Right up against it, okay?
Okay.
Because now they can position themselves where they are up against something, and it can still put them from a bottom of the water column, top of the water column, but they've got some kind of an edge there or whatever. They aren't just floating in space where they have no ability to see anything around them, okay? Now again, remember a bass still has a lateral line. It can still feel vibrations and things, but when the visibility gets low, they want to be able to get next to a vertical piece of cover, and potentially, if that's not available, then they're going to go down to the bottom. Okay. So the reason that I bring that up is that puts us in a position where we need to use different baits to attract. They'll still bite. We need to get baits that give off more vibration so that they attract, the bass can locate. Maybe different colors, whether that be a black and blue where it's a more solid color, maybe adding some chartreuse to a tail to, depending on how dirty it is, in fact. Okay.
I would say more brighter colors?
Well, it's not necessarily brighter. I'm saying that I have noticed that there are times, and again, it depends on what we're calling muddy and muddier, but typically darker colors are the ones that.
Oh, really?
Because what you're looking at is you're just wanting to give a shape of. Remember, dark colors absorb light. When you see something that's black, it's because it's absorbing the most light out of anything. Anything that's white is reflecting a lot of light. Black is absorbing all the light. That's the way colors work. So a black and blue bait is absorbning all the light that's there, and
that's interesting.
And so therefore it may not look as natural, but it'll look like a shape, and that's what the bass would feed.
That's what this seed.
Right.
Okay.
Again, other things would have an influence too. A chatterbait that vibrates, a spinnerbait that has a blade that quivers back and forth, and things like that. Vibration, all of the rattles that make noise, all of those things would add to the bass being able to locate it in muddy water. The point that I'm making in this I appreciate the questions that you're asking, but the point that I'm making here is that even though you've got all of those things, you also have to be fishing in the right location. That's what I was not doing on Eufaula. I kept looking for those fish to be suspended in those treetops. What I finally realized that I needed to do was, instead of throwing a wacky rig Cinco to suspended fish in the treetops, I started throwing a shaky head that had a weight on it that brought the bait down to the bottom where they were down. Instead of being suspended, they were down along the bottom. It was still a bad choice, because even though I was getting bit on the shaky head, because I was using lighter line and things like that, the fish that did bite me were breaking me off down in that heavy cover. I should have went to a heavier line, used a jig or something like that I probably would have gotten. I would have been able to fish it much faster. I probably would have been able to get those fish out of that heavy cover and things like that. So I made some bad mistakes, but what I'm trying to get to is, when the water dirties, that doesn't mean the fish aren't going to bite. We need to change our presentation, and we need to change where we're looking for the fish. They're not going to be suspending as much as next to vertical cover or down along the bottom.
So it's like fish smarter when it starts to rain or when it starts to get dirty.
Understand the positioning, that fish are going to change positioning. Okay.
Right.
And we're just talking about dirty water. You mentioned rain, which means water levels coming up. That's going to change positioning as well. That was the situation that I was in Eufaula also, which I didn't respond to, and we can get to that in another episode.
Right.
But dirty water means look for vertical cover,
right,
and look for fish on the bottom, as opposed to being suspended in there.
Yeah.
Guys, if you like this content, we hope that you would subscribe to the channel. We've got more stuff coming out Monday through Friday on Mark Fisher Outdoors. It is Friday, so we appreciate you tuning in. We hope you have a good weekend.
Or if you like Megan looking silly and foolish, don't ever forget to subscribe.
You can go put your what do you call those things?
What?
Your nighttime
My eye mask?
Oh, your eye mask. Yeah, you can go put your eye mask on now and go take a nap because we're done shooting videos for the week. We're not back until Monday. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Take care.
Stay channeled.